Because sometimes when it comes to being in an argument, right, you have two people with two points of view, and it can ultimately get to the point where it's just two people trying to prove their point of views, that there's no understanding, there's no solutions being made to the actual problem that's being discussed. Is there a right way on how to argue, or is there we definitely know there's a wrong way on how to argue,
We've
right?
gotten many wrong ways.
Yeah, I think we've argued so much over the years, and I mean, arguing to the point where, my blood sugar and blood pressure has raised.
But you're also dramatic, so.
I'm not dramatic. I just think I did not have a proper way on controlling my anger and how worked up I used to get, to the point where I would work myself up so much more, even on the simplest topic, only to then separate myself, meaning get so worked up that I got to go take some time to breathe and cool down and then come back, only to argue again. Right? I did it wrong so many different times, to the point where
we both did.
Yeah, shoot, hey, ain't nobody saying you was an angel. Ain't nobody saying you was an angel, and I'm glad you were calling that out.
Thank you.
But yeah, there definitely is a wrong way on how to argue. But what would you say is the right way, right?
I don't even know, gosh. I think there's so many right ways, but something that just comes to mind is when you take a step back and think about an argument, it's essentially two individuals sharing their true viewpoints and feelings on something that holds differences between you and that person.
Yeah.
So just some of the things that I've learned throughout the course of us just being together and arguing so unhealthily, is that a word? Unhealthily, to now being able to actually have healthy arguments and walk away from the conversation good, laughing, smiling, talking about how much we grew from it. So just one, I guess, tip or something that just comes to mind would just be constantly putting yourself in that person's shoes to understand their feelings and emotions, and take away your own emotions when you're trying to hear that person out.
Yeah, actually listening, right?
Yeah, listen. Let's start there.
Because sometimes when it comes to being in an argument, right, you have two people with two points of view, and it can ultimately get to the point where it's just two people trying to prove their point of views, that there's no understanding, there's no solutions being made to the actual problem that's being discussed, to the point where you get so worked up because the person isn't agreeing with you that you're just so frustrated, and then you forget the actual topic of what y'all got into a disagreement about.
Oh my gosh.
There's so many times we forgot what it is that we were even discussing, and we were just so mad at the other person because you wouldn't let me talk or you couldn't see it my way. Even to this day, I still find myself getting so wrapped up into my point of view that I'm trying to prove that, instead of being in a position to really listen to what it is that you're feeling, right? Because I can't get bothered at the fact that you feel a certain type of way for something that I did when that wasn't necessarily my intention. My intention is always right.
Right.
At least in my head, I think it's right.
Right.
But if you feel a certain type of way from what I do, I need to understand your feeling on that. Even though I didn't want to make you feel like that, I need to understand it. And because that lack of understanding seems to just creep up in so many different relationships, I feel like that's the major piece of arguments and why it escalates to the way that it necessarily needs to escalate. And how people argue is predetermined on what their upbringing was like, what your traumas are, how you argue and how you talk to people. Your traumas are in the way that you argue. Your traumas and lack of healing is in the way that you communicate with your other partner.
Right. Pause. That's a good point. I wanted you to finish it out before. You okay, boy? What's up?
He's tired. He's sleepy. See if I can put you to sleep. You gonna grab that chain?
Always.
He gonna grab that chain.
He's like,
yo, Daxton is in the phase, like he's like 5 months and like a week or something, and now he's gotten to the point where he knows he can grab stuff and he can move his hands and his tools of within his brain. His brain is now making signals to move his limbs a certain way. Everything he sees, he grabs. Everything. I mean, shoot, we were doing a photo shoot not too long ago, and I had him on my neck. This boy took my ears and tried to rip them apart. He tried to rip them apart. Oh man, so that's where he is in his phase right now. So now we gotta figure out how to baby-proof this room before he start crawling.
Yeah. But as we have him quiet for a second,
yeah.
Gosh, you brought up so many good points. But I think at the end of the day, from an argument standpoint, if I heard something a few months ago where it was essentially like your partner shows up at your front door drenched in wetness, like it was raining, right? Mm-hmm. It was raining outside. They show up at the front door. They're drenched. They don't have an umbrella. They don't have anything. What's the first thing you're going to do? Are you going to ask them what are they doing and why are they soaking wet and just continue to interrogate them? Are you going to run and find a towel and wipe them down and dry them up as quick as possible? Mm-hmm. You're gonna get that towel and you're gonna take care of them first.
Solution.
Then you're going to maybe have the conversation of, okay, well, where's your umbrella? Where's your jacket? Like, why are you coming to the door? You know, and let's bring this back to an argument, right? So it's like typically it's one person that's coming to the table with a problem or wants to have a conversation, and that partner needs to look at it as you're addressing me because you want to have a dialogue around a difference. Let me take care of this conversation. Let me take care of you because you're being vulnerable enough to express emotion and feeling towards me.
Yeah.
From that point, once we have that conversation and we get over whatever hump that we need to, I can give you kind of my thoughts on it if I feel bothered about something, but it's not about me anymore. You brought it up to me. I need to nurture your feelings and emotions throughout this conversation.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Shoot, mic drop there. Gosh. You just went in.
Because it's just so eye-opening that we're always so eye-focused. Yeah. It's so easy to be eye-focused, but in a relationship, you know, we just can't have that if we want to be able to argue healthily.
Yeah, right. And to your point, like there is good arguing. Like there is good arguing. And arguing, a good argument is literally meaning that you two are having your own individual thoughts. Mm-hmm. Like you have your own individual way of thinking. So you may not wholeheartedly agree with everything that your partner says, right? But then there's a way on how to actually communicate it, meaning like not dehumanizing what the other person is feeling.
Right.
I've done that to you a lot, right? Because it was just my lack of understanding that when what you were feeling, I felt as though it didn't make sense or that I didn't want to make you feel like that, so you should stop feeling like that. It doesn't work.
That wasn't your intent, so you shouldn't feel that way. But it's like, skirt.
Right. You're wrong. Too bad I felt that way.
Right.
Yeah, I get it, right?
And so let's get more into like what does unhealthy arguing look like, right? Like you're devaluing that person. You are maybe even
cutting them off.
Maybe gaslighting them. That's the worst to do in an argument. Like, to bring your insecurity into an argument, you're only hurting that partner and yourself within the entire situation.
Yeah.
If you want to manipulate somebody, then you need to be alone.
Yeah.
It's not fair, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I think those are some of the ways. You have any other examples of kind of what you can feel or what you do when you aren't looking to have a great argument or a healthy argument?
How it ends?
Yeah.
Like, if your disagreement ends with either someone crying or someone feeling less than, not feeling as though they've been heard, not feeling as though the relationship has grown or the relationship has gotten to a better state. If the house or if you two aren't speaking and you can't say I love you at the end, after an argument, that's when you know you're just
even if it hurts.
Even if it hurts. Yeah. After we get in the argument, the first thing I'll be asking, I'll be like, you still love me? Because I need to know.
Like,
I know. You be like, right. I'll be like, yo, you still love me?
Yeah.
And if you don't, you put that next to you, he gonna grab that. But yeah, I feel like knowing that and being aware of that is very important in a growing relationship, right? And I think, I mean, mind you,
you want your daddy? Whoa.
You don't want me.
You Cameron, y'all saw.
Well, no, I mean, he don't look like he wants me. You want me, buddy? You want me?
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching Love and Melanin. Please remember to subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and comment below in the comment section on different topics you would love to hear us discuss moving forward. And with that being said, we are about to hop right back into the show.
Remember that one thing you always used to. Remember when we used to get in arguments and I would separate myself, and you were so frustrated at the fact that I would leave or take time to go kind of take care of myself mentally before coming back. I think you were right and I was right at the same time. There's this thing called like the Gottman effect, right? And many therapists kind of use it. And the Gottman effect is literally a study and a process of how to actually go through like an argument. And the way it works is that when it gets to a point where you're too heated, it shows in research that you two are so worked up to the point where like there's no cognitive ability to understand at that point. You need to go take 20 minutes to cool down and then come back so that you can actually communicate. It's called the Gottman effect, and I was doing research on it, and I have a couple of buddies that actually are going through therapy that said it was very helpful and they understood it and it worked really well for them. And I was just like, wow, like I never knew there was a word for it. Hey everybody, what's going on? We really appreciate you taking the time to delve into Love and Melanin and the conversations that we have on this show. Please make sure to like, subscribe, leave comments, give us other topics you would like to hear, things that we have not covered possibly. And also make sure to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and wherever we are available on other platforms. With that being said, please enjoy the show. But if I could tell our younger selves, I would say when you get to a point where the two of you are yelling, that's already too far. If you have to raise your voice to the point where that's the only way that somebody else can understand you, I think at that point it's like, okay, let's take a chill pill. Let's go take 20 minutes. Let's go calm down so that we could talk like adults.
Right.
Because I think a lot can be said, a lot can be communicated without having to elevate your voice. Like, and I had to learn that, you know, because there's a difference between saying I love you and then I love you. Like, come on. Like, the statement is still the same, but at the same time, the person is responding to the sound that they hear and not the words that are coming out of your mouth. And that goes along with tone, I think, because you can say I love you, or you can say I love you, and depending on what that tone kind of looks like, that's how the person is going to respond. So ask yourself, what type of response do you want to get from the person upon you about to say this statement? Yeah. And that will determine how your tone needs to be adjusted prior to your thought coming out of your mouth.
I like that. I really like that, because I can say about more than...
Every time you talk, he's like going crazy.
I like that, because I would say about 80% of the time.
You want me to hold him or something?
I think you brought up a great point just in regards of tonality, because I'd probably say 80% of our arguments stemmed from tonality. Yeah. Like, it wasn't even what the situation was, you know, in the beginning. It all ended up into a bigger argument that spiraled down because of tonality.
Yeah. And we're both Scorpios. Scorpios tend to have a certain sting when it comes to how they use their words. Yes. And for us both to be Scorpios, I think our tones of voice can be very, it can sting, right?
It can sting.
Hence the stingers on the back of the scorpions. Mm-hmm. But with that, I think tone does drive a lot of how the conversation is going to go. Mm-hmm. You know, when one partner is going real high, it's not your job to match them. It's your job to just be like, okay, you want to go high? I'm going to slide under. I'm going to lower my tone, because if we're both yelling, we're not going to get our message across.
Amen.
Maybe someone just constantly talks like this. If you want to yell, hey, I really do understand your problem. I don't think we're going to be able to.
But that would piss me off too. That would piss. And I know this is not for the cameras, but that would piss me off too.
That would?
Yeah.
That would really piss you off. I think I did that before.
You did it. It pissed me off.
It did piss you off. Yeah. So don't take that advice. Well, for us, that pisses you off. It may make another woman feel amazing, like he's trying to control his emotions. Right. To you, you think I'm being sarcastic because I naturally am sometimes. So for you, it may not work. And that's a good point to say that arguing looks different in every partnership. Yeah. I think it was Will and Jada saying that their kids said that they never heard them yell.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And they knew they were arguing when they whispered. What you do? I'm over here trying to cook this meal. You over here like, that's arguing?
We should try that.
We should try that.
Let's try that next time.
Yeah, let's try that. We're just gonna whisper. Like, if you really get me, you can't take it more. What you doing? What did I tell you to do? Exactly. But all in all, I mean, arguing has so many different shapes, so many different sizes, and
listen, I have a great point. Choose the hard route during an argument, which is listen, be still, be in the moment, and be solution oriented. Mm-hmm. Choose the hard, right? And at the end of the day, You're going to be happy because things are going to be smooth sailing after that argument.
Yeah.
You're going to have hard up front, or you're going to have hard at the end. Which one is it? Because if you choose to be difficult and gaslight and devalue and all these other things, you're only elongating the argument. You're only making things worse for your relationship that you're going to have to eventually handle at the end of the day, at the next day, whenever you guys get back together, whatever that looks like. So choose the hard right the first time, and you will have less work to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying choose love.
Choose love.
Choose love.
Choose love.
Choose love. I agree.
But yeah, I say we got some solid points. Let's wrap it up. I hope they're able to take something away from this.
Yeah.
I hope we were able to take something away from this.
I took a lot out of this conversation, and I think Daxon did too.
Yeah.
But
I think we need to wrap it up before he turns up.
Right. So, with that being stated, I mean,
Daxon's ready for us to end this.
Yeah, Daxon's ready for us to end this. So, with that being said, the last thing that we will say is that arguing can be good, it can be bad in a relationship. It just really determines on the how and the why it's happening. And as long as you take time to really focus on the other partner's feelings and why they are feeling like that, you'll figure out a better way on how to communicate. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, leave comments. Send this to a few of your relationship friends or send it to people that you want to get in a relationship with.
You get messy.
Right. Send this to someone and say, hey, yo, like, if I want to be with you, we got to know how to argue. And there's this couple that I follow that have a very good perspective on it. So I need you to watch this. And if they don't watch it, they not for you. Move on. Right? All right, that might not be the best advice. But anyway, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we're going to see you next time.